podcast family. Welcome back to the Waxing Podcast. This is a really fun couple of weeks coming your way because I decided to do a little mini holiday series featuring Mackenzie from the Wax Room AZ. So many people have loved her story, especially from being someone who was an employee to a suite owner to a brick and mortar who has multiple employees. She's so much fun. She's also one of my truest friends. So we thought, what better way of kicking the holiday season off with just relaxing and getting to know myself and Mackenzie a little bit better. So we share things like how her business is going, her trends that she sees for 2024, if she's going to hit her goals this year, followed by products that we love, products we don't love. There's so much fun information here for you. We've broken it down to 20 to 30-minute episodes going this couple of next weeks until the holiday ends. So I'm really excited for you to take a listen. Before we get into today's episode, I want to share a lot of really fun things that are happening beyond the Waxing Podcast. As we know, the holiday season is all forgiving, and Enso Wax is giving you the exclusive savings this holiday season. So right now, when you go on to ensowax.com, and if you're not familiar with Enso Wax, it is a beautiful wax warmer that is self-stirring. It has so many features, innovative, patent pending, and made by yours truly. If you don't believe me, go check it out. It's amazing. Right now during the holiday seasons, we are deciding to give back. So for every $100 you spend at ensowax.com on a gift card, we are giving you $25. And so the math is mathing. This is such a great deal. Like I said, we are gifting you $25 for every $100 spent. This is a perfect opportunity to upgrade your room in 2024 with the most innovative wax warmer to date. My second offer going on right now, which is something that you can locate in the show notes below, is going to be my free class that I'm offering. It's called Time is Money. It is an on-demand class, so it's truly ready for you whenever you're ready. But this class is all about making more money in Brazilian waxing. So if you're somebody who's struggling with your wax time or your technique, this is a perfect class for you. Like I said, it is free, and it comes with an amazing offer after the free class to continue your education, but I am throwing in an additional 10% off just because I feel like giving this year on all of my platforms. And so go to the show notes below. You'll click Time is Money. You'll watch your free class. And then if you want to continue your education, I am giving you an extra 10% off using the code TAMPAHOLIDAY. And without further ado, I am so excited to bring you this holiday series episode with Mackenzie and I hope that you enjoy it. Bye, guys. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Waxing Podcast. I'm especially excited today because I'm bringing on one of my favorite people in the entire world, the OG, Miss Mackenzie.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Glad to be back.
I know it's just so funny, like, because we're getting at the end of the year, of course, and I like to do a lot of reflecting, and I'm like, you know what? You were the first guest who was on my podcast that I didn't know beforehand, and I'm like, that's so crazy to think about because now I'm like, out of all my guests, I probably know you the most.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Like,
we basically talk every day.
We talk every single day.
Yeah, basically every day.
We're in a group chat that I hold very dear to my heart. I have so much like hair for my animals on my damn microphone right now. It's like my OCD is kicking in terms of like, I need to get it cleaned. But yeah, I am so excited. I wanted to create like a holiday kind of like a chill vibe. I feel like the holidays are coming up and it's so busy and it's so overwhelming. And you have a business with multiple employees. And the last thing I wanted to do was business strategies and like, you know what I mean? Like I wanted just to kind of talk and yeah, like of course get tips and tricks out there and like all the things. But I don't know. It just feels nice to like enjoy these next 2 months.
Yeah, like let's just like when we hit November, I'm like, let's get this year over with. Like,
Yeah.
let's get it done. I very much am that mindset. I'm like, I feel like we get so busy, like we get slower this time of year, like services and people coming in, but all the other stuff I feel like I get busier with. And I'm just like, we close for Thanksgiving for 3 days. We close Christmas Eve to New Year's Day. And I just like, it's the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm like, let's get it done, because I like that reset to start the new year, just like banging. So,
Do you feel like as a business owner, because do you go by quarters? Like, what
so
do you do?
in my mind, yes, I kind of sort of go by quarters. It's like in my mind, I kind of do half a year and quarters at the
Mm-hmm.
same time. Just kind of depends on like what's going on. But that's actually a goal. I know we're going to talk about our goals for the new year, but that's one of my goals in the new year, is to kind of get more strategic and like organized month by month, and like what's going down, and get things kind of set up so that in the next years after this, after 2024, where basically it's like it could do itself. You know, we know what we're going to do every single month. It's already basically, the shell is there in regards to like newsletters, specials, things like that.
Like
So
to know them all just ahead of time.
yeah, like every June we're going to do our customer appreciation pop up, you know, that kind of a thing. So
Yeah. I guess it's like for me, I guess since I worked at for 2 years, like quarters is like what I went by and what most
mhm,
companies go by. But
mhm,
you set a goal in the beginning of the year, and
mhm,
then you second quarter, you see, are you going towards it? But then that
mhm,
fourth quarter is like that final stretch where you're like,
yeah,
either you're confidently going to hit it or you're not at all, and you're going to
yeah,
figure out how to like pivot in any way to like make any sales possible to go further to that goal. Like, do you do
yeah.
that?
Yes, I do that, but that's like one of the things I do more so half a year and then
Yeah. Okay.
half a
So like you
year.
just do it in half.
Yeah, because I see it every month. Like I look at the numbers every month, so I'm like, I know we're going to be fine. Like I know we're projected, like it's good. Um
Hmm.
but I know we're going to hit our goal at the end of this year. Um but for the new year, I'm just going to get straight to it. But for the new year, I I haven't said this really out loud
Hmm.
yet, but the goal for 2024 is I want to end the year at $1 million.
Yeah.
$1 million revenue. That's not profit. There's a difference, but I want to hit $1 million, and I know we can do it. And so next year, I've like kind of sort of hinted to the team that like I'm going to go hard, but like next year's the year to do it. We have an amazing team right now, and like there's a lot of room to fill spots. So I feel really confident that we can do that.
Which I
So,
feel like a million, it's funny because like I obviously don't even flinch to you saying that because I know it's totally
mm,
possible for you. And also I'm like, it didn't just come from like you woke up one day and you were like, next year I'm gonna hit a million. Like you're
yeah,
projecting that.
yeah,
And so it's cool because now you're like, I can actually see that happening. Like it's
yeah,
possible. It's
yeah,
just gonna take a couple of new things to make it happen, if
yes.
you will.
Yeah. Like we've had a steady growth year after year. That's like
Hmm.
significant, but I feel like we're definitely ready for a higher, more significant goal to achieve. Like we can do it. I've been setting smaller goals because when I first started my business, that was like what helped me get through those like super hard times, and like building the business was like setting small goals that felt super attainable so that I felt accomplished. But now
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, we got to cut the bullshit basically. We
Well, you got to
just,
put
I
yourself
got
in
to
an
cut the
uncomfortable
cord.
situation.
Yeah, basically. I'm like,
Yeah.
we got to just cut it. I'm like, we're doing it. We're going to do $1 million next year, and we just need to grow that much bigger. So, and a little bit faster, if you will.
It's funny because obviously I know you so well, and I'm like, it's just we talk about this all the time. Like you and I hate to be comfortable. And so it's like I love this for you
Yeah.
because nothing you've ever done has been comfortable. And like, I've
No.
witnessed you be so uncomfortable for 2 years. And like, I'm so serious when I say that because you went through stuff that I really do not believe other people go through. Like,
I know.
especially with your build out. Like,
Yeah.
I've never seen something like that. And like, obviously, we don't know everything that goes on behind other people's social media doors
Right.
because people only give what they want to see. But what it has seemed like for the most part is people have pretty straightforward, like they say they've opened a building and in
Mm-hmm.
3 months they're a working building. And like,
Yeah.
you just had so many
Mm-hmm.
obstacles. And so I feel like you're at a good place now. And that's why I
Yeah.
laugh because I'm like, you're ready to get uncomfortable again.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, yes.
Yeah, like it's such your personality, but you thrive in
Yeah,
that, really.
I do. I do.
Yeah.
I just actually it's funny backing up to the storefronts when I see other people because I was just having a conversation with her name's Nikki or Nicole, I believe, and she's also in Arizona, but she's trying to get a storefront or whatever, and we were just chatting over DMs, and I told her, I was like, honestly, I was like, I have PTSD from my build out, and every time I see someone else announcing they have keys to a storefront, I die inside a little bit. And I cannot watch or see what they're doing because like I'm genuinely happy and like I will support them, but like it is such a personal thing for me that like I still am working through because I don't want to see someone else's storefront and like cringe.
Is
Do you
it
know what I'm
because
saying?
is it the part of like them going way faster than you, or is it the part of you
No.
being like, "Oh my god, so many things can go wrong?"
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
That. It's not like it's not them, it's me. It's me for sure
Yeah.
because I just had so much shit happen and I don't want that to happen to them, but and it probably won't, but I just feel like this weird like my insides like squeeze tighter. I don't know, it's just a weird thing, but we're going to move past it. We're going to get over it, but do you know what I'm saying?
No, I do know what you're saying, and I
Okay.
feel so bad for you, which is why I brought
Yeah.
it up. I'm like, literally,
Yeah.
I watched it. I watched it, and I felt like, obviously, and this is such a different thing, but you've watched Enso,
Yeah.
the awaiting of the prototype and how frustrating that is. But for you, you have like, I couldn't imagine having clients and then like having a storefront and wanting them in there so badly to the point. Like, I don't know if you were at this. I mean, probably, but you were walking into your suite being like, get me the fuck out of here.
Yes.
I want to be in there. Like, you know?
Three waxers in one suite. I was paying double rent. I paid for the fire the fire whatever it's called, like sprinklers, the alarms,
Mhm.
smoke detectors. I paid for that twice. I mean, it's just like so much shit. And the fire inspector, like I don't even know why I'm bringing this up, but the fire inspector, like I was standing alone in a 1,500 square foot space with three grown ass men, one of them berating me over my space because I had stuff in there. Like, that is traumatizing. And
Mhm.
it's just like, I just think about all the negative things, I guess, like when someone opens it up. But we're to this point now where I'm talking about we're going to do $1 million next year. So it's like, it's possible. It's doable. It just was like a giant hurdle that I had to go through. But there's always going to be challenges, you know. This year also was a challenge with other things, you know, but I feel so good about the last like 6 months of the business. Yeah, 6 months. Like
Yeah.
we
Which I
have an
don't feel
amazing
like you've gotten that, you've had to get to that though, like
yes,
that doesn't just
yes.
come.
Yeah. So it feels really good to be like finally in that space of just like we have an amazing team right now. We have a little bit of growing pains, but like I feel like everything that I've done is for a reason. And you know, we have I think one would say we it might feel like we're overstaffed, but like there's a reason for it. We're gonna grow. We're gonna get busy. I've been doing different marketing strategies. I have I don't know if other people have seen, but I have the commercial going for, we made a video. We have a commercial basically. We have a
Which I
commercial.
think is so cool.
Yeah. And so it's on our website, but we have it in local movie theaters. So it's like we're doing things and I just like, it feels so good. Like I feel like I'm ending the year really on top.
You know what's really cool about you being on the episodes so often is that people can like go and find your episodes
Oh
and
God.
like you can, but like you,
Yeah.
but I think that's cool because
Yeah.
you get to actually live this timeline. Like I
Yeah.
remember us recording the episode of like the aftermath of opening a suite or brick and mortar. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And like you were just like afterwards, like I hope people like that. Like I wasn't in a like that amazing of a
Yeah.
space, and I'm like, even though that felt hard and like I don't know, it's
Mm-hmm.
cool because now we get to look at this one, and you get to go
Yeah.
back, and everybody gets to go back. I don't know. I think it's really cool, and I like that part of
Yeah.
podcasting because you and your Instagram, like you do a good job
Yeah.
of having like the highlights that show like your journey and things like that.
Yeah.
I
Probably should
always like that
update
about
those.
you
Thanks.
because I think too, like where you're at in your business is obviously bigger than where somebody would be at if they first started out on their own. But that's where I think it's really cool that you have those highlights because whether
Mm-hmm.
somebody's new or not, they can go
Mm-hmm.
to those beginning stages of you and
Mm-hmm.
see those moments and then know
Yeah.
and watch you work up to this moment. Like
Yeah.
that's actually really cool. I feel like more people should do that.
Yeah. I try to, when people ask more like details about like the journey and stuff, I try to like send them to the podcasts because Lord knows what I even said on those episodes. But
I say
like
that
they
about
would
every
get,
damn
I
episode I
know.
make.
I'm like, what
Like
did I
I don't
say? I
know.
don't know. But it's just nice too for me to be able to be like, just go listen. Like there's so many episodes, you know, you could find the ones that I'm on to like listen to the journey or whatever. But um yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about really now that I'm like thinking about it. I'm like,
I
wow.
know. I know, but that's what's really cool about
Yeah.
podcasting is like you're able to reflect in all of that. And it's so
Yeah.
crazy because I feel so blessed because I feel like I've been able to be a part of your life for so long. Isn't that kind of
Yeah.
wild?
Yeah. Literally from the beginning. Well, from growing my team basically from the start.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
listening to on my way home from dropping Roman off at school. I
Mm.
was listening to because right now I've been listening to Taylor Swift for like way
Oh.
too long at this
Oh
point.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Same.
I have a Spotify. I listen to the Spotify. It's called Taylor's version, and it's all of the ones she's redone. And
Ooh.
so I just shuffle them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Epiphany came on. Do you remember Epiphany from? It's folklore.
Oh, I'd have to
It,
hear it. I don't know like
okay,
every song title, but
well, and I probably know it because I listened to it.
yeah.
So, but it's the one that she talks about like people in the war
Mm.
and then it goes right into people like nurses at the hospital and doctors. And like
Mm.
it's all about COVID. And
Mm.
it's so weird, but I was listening to it and I was like, wow, like nurses and doctors like this is so random, but I'm like could you imagine? I'm like I don't know, like 2020 was such like a blur at this point and it seems so long ago, but it wasn't. And I'm like,
Yeah.
have these nurses recovered?
I
Like that
I
is so
don't
much trauma.
Oh, I know. And the amount of nurses actually that we have as clients is a massive, a huge part of our clientele are nurses. And I don't think those that were around during that time have fully recovered because it's still brought up to this
Yeah.
day. It's like, you know, prior to COVID, during COVID, you know, afterwards, it's like always part of it. So I don't think so.
It's just so weird. I don't know. I always think
Mm-hmm.
about that because I'm like, nurses, like, of course, your job is so serious, but like, you
Yeah.
don't ever expect to go through a pandemic where like your life is literally on the line. Like, I was like, it's so
Yeah.
crazy, but it also made me think of how far 2020, but how yet not far 2020 is.
Yeah.
And that's when our
Really.
relationship established
Yeah.
was 2020. So it's
Yeah.
because in our sense, I feel like 2020 was such a pivoting moment for me.
Oh, yeah. I would say the same for myself as well. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think, um, yeah, I felt like the things went two ways as far as like the business world during COVID. It's either businesses took off or
Mm-hmm.
businesses unfortunately had to close doors. And it's really weird because I don't think there was an in between. And if there is, it's like a small in between. So that's what's weird too about it. It's like I feel like I took off during that time, and I know you
Yeah, I
feel
think you
like you
did
did
too.
too.
Yeah.
And so it's just weird to think about how I guess like 2020 affected everyone differently, obviously, but
I know, because I'm like, when I speak about 2020, it's like such a pivotal moment in my career.
yeah.
It was like the one time that I was like, I think I can do more, and I can be better, and I can, like, if I look at, like, because I've been talking a lot about that I'm an over 10-year licensed esthetician. Technically, I
Yeah,
think I'm 11, but I'm like,
that's crazy.
but I really didn't take this industry by storm, if you will, like my own
Mhm.
personal way of feeling that way
Mhm.
until 2020.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's kind
Yeah.
of crazy to think about because I'm like, I always tell people, because I'm like, even though I'm an 11-year esthetician, like that doesn't mean anything. I didn't do
Yeah.
it anything with that, in my opinion, until much later.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were, I mean, did you guys have to close? You guys had to close, right?
We
Yeah.
closed for like a very short time, and then when we opened, yeah, I mean, you understand, it was so busy.
So like what do you think though like made you like during that time, because like I'm assuming that you felt super comfortable and content just like working at
Mhm.
Flirt and just like making the money you were making and like living your life and like whatever. And like what about that time where you just like I'm going to get online and you know what I
You know,
mean?
that's such a complex question because it's like I think about that often. I'm like, because okay, post, or me now and all the
Mhm.
things I do, right? Prior
Yeah.
to all of that,
Yeah.
I had a baby in 2019, of course, Roman, a lot of people know this.
Mhm.
And I was working 2 days a week,
Mhm.
maybe.
Mhm.
And I was staying at home with Roman. Maybe I was working 3. I was working 2 to 3 days a week. It just depended.
Mhm.
And I was working like no hours at all, but I was so happy and I was
Mhm.
so content with that. And then Roman started getting a little bit older, and it was when the pandemic hit that, what was it? I'm like almost wanting to say too, like Canva just came out, you know? And
Okay.
so I remember being at home, and Rhea, like obviously we couldn't work, right? So
Right.
I wanted money. I needed money. I feel like money's always been a big motivator of mine, even though it's
Mhm.
not for the greediness, but more so of like, that's like another whole story to explain.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
um Rhea had asked me, or I just started doing skincare. Like I think I was training for skincare like right when the
Oh,
pandemic hit. And
right.
so I was, because I was looking to grow.
Mhm.
And I remember Rhea sitting me down and being like, would you be interested in offering hydrofacials and skincare because it can add some more income to your
Right.
day? AKA, you don't have to be waxing all the time. You can try something new. And at the time, I was like, well, maybe I do miss skincare and maybe that's what I want. Right.
Yeah.
But then we closed down, but we had products to sell. And so I was going online on my Instagram and I was selling products to my
Mm.
customers, to my clients, and I was making money. And that was
Mm.
the first time I had experienced that. Like
Mm.
having direct money come to me because of something I did virtually.
Yeah.
And I want to say that was like the start
Your
of
epiphany.
something,
Yeah.
my epiphany. And so Rhea also was wanting some, because the Canva stuff was really popular. And I remember
Right.
Rhea wanting stuff for her business, and I was playing with Canva a lot. And because that's when my kid used to freaking nap. And she asked me, she was like, do you want to make these and I'll pay you
Mm.
for them? So
Yeah.
again, I kept doing virtual things
Mm.
and making
Mhm.
money from it. And then I started, of course, as we all did, becoming like interested in our industry virtually. And so I was like, who else is
Mhm.
around and all that stuff. And I, at the time, had like 3,000 followers, something like that.
Mm. Mhm.
And I was like, oh, there's like other people out here who are like virtually talking about their business and doing all of this stuff. And that's when I met you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think
I'm
I
like,
ever asked you that before.
I know. And I feel like sometimes my answer changes because I also like, it was like the podcast thing happened in 2020.
Mm,
But what people don't realize about the podcast is I actually had recorded my first podcast before the pandemic.
mm,
I had done it in January and I just didn't post it
mm.
because I felt super stupid, to be
Stupid.
honest with you.
I think about
I did.
podcasting. I think about podcasting sometimes. I'll like be in my car just like driving and I'm just like thinking and I'm like, I'm not like, I feel like I jump around when I talk in general anyway. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I kind of just want to like record what I like have in my brain, just like random thoughts, like not like anything specifically to business or waxing, just like random thoughts. But I'm like, I don't think anyone will find that interesting because I'm not trying to like make it a thing, but I'm just like, it'd be kind of fun just to like dump out stuff that I say, like that's in my brain, dump it out and then like play it back and be like, whoa, that's like what's inside my I don't
I
know.
mean, I literally did not think anybody would listen to this either, if I'm going to be
Mm,
completely honest with you.
mm,
I feel like everyone has imposter syndrome, but
yeah.
I don't think people like bigger have imposter syndrome, but they do. And
Yeah,
it's
oh, they
a
do
real
for
it's
sure.
a real thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I created the podcast in January, I literally like laughed out loud. I was like, this is
Yeah.
the dumbest fucking thing I've ever done in my entire life. And then the pandemic happened. And then at that point, I'm like, well, people are online.
Might as well.
It's probably now or never.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, if I don't do it, someone's going to beat me to it.
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
didn't want to do it second when I knew in my head I had always done it first because I did it in January.
You're like, I've done it first, but like no one knows that I did it first.
Yeah, and like obviously I didn't do it first, but like
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
like in my head I was the first one who did it post pandemic or
Yeah.
like mid pandemic. So I wanted to be beat out and I'm competitive in that way.
Yes.
I don't think that's a secret.
100%. There was something that I was like, oh, I forget what it was now. It obviously like wasn't that important, but I remember there being something that I talked about like wanting to do and I waited too long and then other people started to do it and I was just like, well, I'm not doing it now because it's going to look like I copied them. What the heck was that?
See,
I don't even
I don't
remember what it
know.
was anymore, but I remember something like that happening and I was just like, well, I'm not going to do it now.
I know. And like it's not like to be discouraging or anything. I think it was just
No.
like I think it was the timing. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Cuz like
Yeah.
if someone started a podcast tomorrow, to me that makes complete sense because
Yeah.
there's like but at the time
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
was
because this was
during
definitely like a long time. This was like, yeah, for sure, like 3 years ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
well during the pandemic and I felt
Yeah.
like people were doing lives, getting on like it was only a matter of time where people
Yeah.
went to podcasting.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's why I
Yeah.
was more competitive and I wanted to do it before everybody else because I knew there was probably going to be a spike back then.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas now it's just a more casual thing. If somebody wants to start a
Yeah.
podcast, it's not in a rat race of all these other people starting
Mhm.
podcasts. Like there's not
Yeah.
this like time limit like there was back
Mhm.
then, if that
Are
makes sense.
you making money off these at all or not really? Or what's happening?
You know what's funny is I had a client ask me this yesterday and it's
Oh,
always my answer is funny because like yes,
okay.
but I value money differently on the podcast
Yeah.
than I do in real life because I say, this is my answer to this. Yes, I make money off this podcast.
Mhm.
Not enough to be sustainable to my bank account at all.
Yeah.
At all. I had
Yeah.
landed a sponsorship with Bright, which was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
I landed a sponsorship with Starpill.
Mhm.
And then other than that, I
Mm.
use my own stuff. So
Yeah.
like I'll use Enso and I'll use the waxing guide for
Yeah.
self internal promotion
Mhm.
that in time leads to sales.
Mhm.
So in
Mhm.
that way, like yes, I make money, not enough to whatever because also like
You
I
like
don't
use it as like, but I feel like you use it as like more of like a marketing
yeah.
slash networking thing, not really like trying to make more money. from it.
So that's what I was talking to my client with. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't make like physical money that would be life-changing in at all. I said,
Yeah.
but what I've been able to gain from the podcast has been something I couldn't put I couldn't put a money sign on. Like I've been able to network with more people than I ever would. I
Mm-hmm.
know it for a fact. And not only do I get to like connect with them virtually, but like I get to connect with them on like a really personal level of podcasting. Like I get to learn about them, their story. I get to interact with them. I get to have off moments with them where we're not recording.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a phone call.
Yeah.
And so like instead of like a DM where you're just kind of going back and forth and you're just knowing like a surface level version of everyone, it's like I get to know a little bit deeper, which in return has helped me. I mean, beyond. I mean, Kelly Baker is a perfect example of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and a lot of my people that are trying out the Enso wax warmer are people that were on my podcast who are big influences in this industry,
Mm-hmm.
who I know I would have never had this connection with if not for the podcast.